That ain't good. I'm gonna show you how to fix that. We're gonna do it right now. So here we have some forced hot water heat, baseboard heat that is falling apart. So what happened was this floor was done, I guess, and when they went to remove these and when they went to put them on, they got messed up. So this baseboard is a little older. It could use a paint job and it could be replaced if you wanted to, but the good thing is it doesn't have to be. So what happened was when they went to remove this, they lifted up here because you have to lift up to pop it off of these clips. And when they did that, because these weren't properly secured to start, they popped out of where they were supposed to be, and that made this fall apart. And obviously you can't get the face back on. And then we have stuff like this that we're just gonna remove because it isn't 100% necessary. So, in order to save some money and not have to replace these heat covers, I'm just gonna show you how to fix it. You might have a similar situation, or maybe you just wanna watch. So, let's do it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put my gloves on because the fins on this heat can be sharp and I don't wanna cut myself. And then I'm gonna take everything apart so we can kinda start fresh. I can put this cover off to the side because that's not attached to anything. Get that out of our way. And then this louver is disconnected from these brackets except for over here. So in order to pop that off, I'm just gonna hold this bracket so it doesn't pop out like the other ones and pull it just like that. Has a little track in here that pops onto those. Now we just, on this one, have the brackets floating there. And we'll move on to this side. Take this cover, carefully lift the element up so I can get this out of here. And you can see that those brackets are meant to hold this element up. So this is loose, which isn't great for it to move around like that. I'm just going to be very careful so I don't bend any pipes or cause any issues with that. This louver, same thing. Pop it off like this. There we go. Here. Okay. So your baseboard might be different than this, but this is how this one works. All of them are gonna have these types of brackets or a similar type of bracket. And basically at the top, you have this tab that goes into this slot right here. And then on the bottom, there is a slot right here that this tab sits in. And once that bracket's in, that's what supports this element. So that's what we got to do with all these brackets. So in this case, we're going to install it up top first, slide it up like that, and then on the bottom, see if we can get that one in there, just like that. And now it's locked in place. So now this is how this was installed originally. So the problem with that is when you go to put this front cover on, you run the risk of pulling this up and having it come out of that slot on the bottom. Ideally, what you want to do when you install baseboard like this is you can see this hole right here. You want to line that up with a stud. That's why you have so many of these. If you look all the way down, you have these every 8 inches. And you should be able to line those up so that every 16 inches you can hit a stud and put your hardware right through this hole. Since this is already installed, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run some self-tapping screws in here. They're 1/2 inch long for metal, and that way I won't hit a stud, but at least this won't be able to be lifted up and this won't happen again. So self-tapping screw, this one just so happens to have a Phillips, and just run it in here. That's all I need. And that way, since they're short, I know I'm not gonna mess with anything in the wall, but that is never gonna be able to be pulled up. So I'm gonna do that as I reattach all the brackets. And you might notice this wire right here. And if you're looking for me to tell you exactly what that is, I can't do that because I have no idea. But this little piece right here, this little kind of hook, this is typically for when you do maybe a loop or a return with some copper pipe. It sits right in there. That's what it's made for. So I'm just gonna go along and just pop the wire right there so that it doesn't get potentially cut from the louver back here and it's out of the way. Now with this one, luckily, that stayed in there. So I'm just gonna put a screw in it. I'm making sure that it's down all the way. And one self-tapper right here. Don't wanna go crazy, strip it out. Good, moving on. Now this one, again, carefully lifting up on this element. Put it in the top first, line it up on the bottom, and just make sure it's sitting down all the way. I'm not worried about this touching the heat because I have a feeling it has been for the past 30, 40 years. No worries there. Good. This one right here. Lift it up and drop it down. One screw. And at that point, if you feel like this heat could go up more, for instance, these have fallen over the years, I'm just gonna bend this up so it's raised up a little bit more, and that it's even with the other ones. Go up, in at the bottom. And by the way, if your heat got really messed up for whatever reason and maybe something slammed into the metal of that slot, you can picture this as being the one on the bottom, and you're trying to get these in and you just can't, maybe you have to pry this out a little bit. You can use a hooked pick, but you want to be careful. This can be thick. You might just break one of these, but if you can get like a flathead screwdriver in there and pry it open just a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything, and that way you can get the bracket to sit in there. So this one is already in there, so you can leave it right where it is. Just put a screw in it. Now we can clean everything up. Hopefully I can stretch that a little bit. There we go. So that's sitting in there. A little piece of plastic right here. If that's from an old shade or curtain or something. Get that out of there. And what you'll notice on this heat is this plastic. So all this is kind of falling apart, and what this is made for is it goes right here, and it's to keep these fins separated. So the way that the heat works is these heat up, and they need to be apart from each other, and ideally they need to be clean, free from dust and hair and everything, and that way the heat will work more efficiently because it needs that space in between. So if your heat's in good shape and the spaces are even like this, you can just take it, and however your heat is, you can just kind of press it back into place like that, and that will keep it from moving around. But if you look over here, all these fins are really kind of messed up. So I can try and straighten these out perfectly, and I will try and straighten them out, but I don't think I'll ever get them straight enough to where I can easily get this piece back on. If you look at the end right here, like stuff like that. So it's not 100% necessary, it just helps to keep these fins spaced apart. But what I'm gonna do before I put this all back together is try and clean this up a little bit and try and fix stuff like this. For the loose ones that are falling off of here, I'm just gonna get rid of these. This one they actually, if you take a close look, they actually pinched it in between two pieces of flooring, which is not exactly ideal. We probably could have got this seam a little tighter, but hey, that's okay. Well, I'm gonna try and get it out of here without cutting it. If I have to, I'll cut it, but let me see if I can push it back and out of this seam. No, I tried. I couldn't push it. I unintentionally cut it. And try and straighten out these fins. You can spend as much time as you want. It depends on how important it is to you. I think that's not too bad. You could go and really spend some time, some needle nose pliers, and make them perfect, and try and get those plastic pieces on. Something like that. That is satisfying, but I'd probably be here for the entire day. So, because if you look down here, yeah, Matt don't got that kind of time. Right here, this is what I can achieve. Make these a little better. At the same time, we're cleaning the hair out, and that will make your heat more efficient. It's better. And this one in the back is kind of falling apart, but it's not doing any harm, so I'm just going to leave that one there. Now, at the end here, I'll just cut this. Now we're going to reinstall the louvers. Got this track right here. It just clips on. Just line it up. Make sure it's in the right place. I'm going to go even at the end. And then all I have to do is push right at each of these brackets. Make sure it works. It's louvering. And now the front, this kind of angle goes at the top, and I'm gonna hook it on the bottom. Goes in this little track, and then the top clips onto the top of the bracket. So again, line up that end there so it's even. Make sure it's in all three of these. Put some pressure up. And then it hooks on just like that. So this one is kind of bouncing off. We can fix that. So this is the piece that holds the heat, and this is the piece that hooks on here. So I'm gonna try and just bend that down just a little bit to put more tension here to the top. We'll see if that fixes it. Okay. Good. Now on this side, same thing. And we're gonna get some close-up shots here. Now you can see closer view. This track hooks onto this, just like that. Make sure they're all lined up, and push it into place. Just like that. It's louvering. Now the cover. See, this clip on the right is the one that this sits against. Make sure they're all in. Put some pressure on the top, going up, and then you can drop it down. And then this drops right on like that. And again, make sure they're lined up on the end. And in this case, this piece goes in. So I need to pull this out slightly, and then pull it like that, so it's even at the end. Now we can put our caps on. This one goes in the corner, down just like that. Now the end caps, this has a similar hook on the bottom. Top goes in like that. And pull it down, and it hooks on just like that. And if you had it, that's where you would put your other end cap. There's lefts and rights, and you can buy those at the store. This one's missing. It might be floating around the house somewhere. I'm not too sure. But that's it. Sure, this could use a fresh coat of paint and maybe even just clean it. But if you did want to replace the backing and just the covers of the baseboard heat, I do have a video for that, and I'll leave it in a link in the description of this video. If you had a similar situation to this, I hope the video helped, and if you just wanted to watch it, let me know how I did, and I hope you were entertained. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. I got this wire here that has nothing to do with anything. Okay, try it again. Oh, hey. But to try and get these back on here, it's going to be quite easy, actually. Did you see me struggle? Did you see the? Yeah. Okay. We need to add some funny to it.